So you come down, meet me at my table. There's a lot going on. But without further ado, I'd like to have a chat with all of you. So, reclaiming your health after a diagnosis. I think we have to begin from the beginning. Hi, I'm Chef Di. I'm a chef, an author, and a health coach. And I'm thrilled to be here to launch the health fair today. I wanted to share with you a little journey that I've had and all that I've learned along the way. On April 15th, 2018, I went to the doctor with some blood work. And while typing on her computer, the doctor said, "Diana, you have type 1 diabetes, and I believe you have pancreatic cancer, spleen cancer, and I want to remove your gallbladder." Well, I took a minute, and then I did the first thing that I needed to do. I fired her. I mean, honestly, how could a doctor not be able to take a moment to look into my eyes while she was telling me the most devastating news of my life? The second thing I had to do was get a second opinion right away. And I did. Thanks to my brother, I went to a fabulous French doctor who, after running multiple tests, he said 5 words that I'll never forget. "We are in the clear." We are in the clear. I was blown away by those words, not only to hear that I didn't have pancreatic cancer, but that a doctor who had so many patients, he probably wasn't able to tell that to. And after evaluating all of my tests, he confirmed that the technician had read the reports wrong. I did not have pancreatic cancer, I did not have spleen cancer, and I still have my gallbladder 5 years later, and I plan on keeping it. The third thing I did as a chef is I need and real support, and that was vital for me. You need that community. But then I found my teachers. And when I say teachers, they're doctors and scientists. Yeah, I've become a nerd. And they're not my doctors, but they're my teachers. So I started listening and reading things from Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Peter Attia, Simon Hill from Australia, and again, that podcast, A Whole New Level. And if you come to my table, I'd be happy to tell you more. And also Maria Menounos, who used to be on Primetime, who had a whole bunch of health conditions, has a phenomenal podcast. So the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn, and the more questions that I had. And then that magical word wonder came into my life. It is one of the best things to have on your side. Curiosity and wonder. Being open more to learn more about what you're dealing with and what options you may have. Secondly, a huge part of how we manage our condition is directly connected to how we view it. I won't lie. I was mad, raving mad, when I got my diagnosis. I was like, really? I was born into this world with ENT issues. All good? I was born into this world with ENT issues. I have had surgery from the age of 2 to 59. I was like, really? I'm tired. I've had enough. Can I get enough? Okay, I'm not on mute. I don't know what that means. But anyway, can I get enough on the chat if you've had enough? Do you ever get to that point? Hello, Megan from the MX. I've had enough. I was shouting it out loud. Like, no, I'm done. In fact, when I was first diagnosed, I was determined that I would be the first person in the world to have type 1 and reverse it and never take any medication. Hello? A little bit of denial there. In the type 1 world, you're diagnosed and you have a little window, they call it honeymoon, where you don't have to take insulin. Unfortunately, they don't tell you how long the honeymoon is. So I was determined to change that. So I actually weigh 150. That's kind of what I weighed before I was diagnosed. Then when I got diagnosed, I cleaned out all the food. I worked out like a fiend and I went to 130. I was feeling hot. I looked good. I felt healthy. And then in the summer of 2019, I went to take care of my papa, who had some health issues. And I'm live. Okay. Anyway, gotta roll with it. Anyway, summer of 2019, I went to Spain to take care of my papa. I was eating like a queen. The food was phenomenal. And I was not on medication at that time. And little by little, my body went down and down. And my body was telling me, your honeymoon's over, girl. But my mind and my heart was not listening. I was completely focused on my dad's declining health and not able to bear witness to my own. I went down to 100 pounds. Not good. So I went back to New York and I went on insulin and I went back to 150. But coming back home, I knew I had to change my relationship with my condition. I needed to shift how I viewed it. One of the women on the panel here, a wonderful woman named Megan, is from the MS stage, and she and I talk a lot about communicating and connection to our condition. The first thing I had to do, I had to thank my insulin. I had to thank this little baby right here. It gave me life. It gave me life. I was able to afford it, and it gave me life. That was the first thing I had to do. Thank my insulin. And then second, I just had to think back to the summer of 2019. 100-pound Diana, thinking that I was hot, while my hubby was calling me a walking cadaver. Those are my pinpoints of remembering why the gratitude, like Abby talked about in the beginning, is so important. Little by little, I grew to not only thank my medication that was keeping me alive, but ironically, I had to thank my condition. Yeah, you heard me. I began to thank my type 1. Because in 2018, my life changed for the better. I learned to view my body as a temple. I realized how hard it had worked for me for 55 years, carrying me through my wild 20s into my workaholic 30s, 40s, and 50s. It had to begin with gratitude. Gratitude for my body, gratitude for my type 1. With type 1, I changed everything of how I viewed not only health, but healing. I changed how I ate. I changed how I learned. I changed how I moved my body. And now as an author and a health coach, I'm changing other people's lives every day by sharing what I learned and what wonder I've collected. And I always say to my clients, I am a flashlight holder. I hold the light on you and guide you through your transformation. And I get to remind you of all the tools that you have in your toolbox, but you forgot. Is anyone with me? I think I might cry. You
You're
know?
doing great.
Oh. All right, so now we're going to go into the fun part, healing through food, mind, body, and soul. So I created these 4 pillars. What does it mean? Oh. Okay, so reclaiming my health after a diagnosis made me rethink a lot of things. Number 1, how would I actually do that? Reclaim. What am I actually reclaiming? What did I need to learn? How could I view healing and being healthy through a different lens? And if I could answer those questions, could I teach this program to others? Could I help them transform? Could I help other people with a diagnosis, whether diabetes or other, get out of the fear and confusion and into the clarity and balance? You better believe I could. And what an honor it is to watch people transform, to do the work, and go, wow, I'm making changes. It is the greatest gift. Greatest gift. To be able to share what I have learned and help someone change their life. Pull it together, girl. So I created a 4-pillar program. And that is what I taught myself and I teach my clients. The first pillar of my program was healing through food. I had to reconnect to each food item I was buying, cooking, and eating. I had to pay attention to how my body responded. And when I was diagnosed, I explored many diets. I did the keto, I did the Mediterranean, I did my version of keto meadow, and I left with one thing. Paying attention is what worked for me. We all are different. Everybody reacts differently. What worked for me was heavy plant-based, tons of veggies, lots of greens, minimal fruit, fish, eggs, and a little bit of meat. Each client is different. There is no cookie cutter of what to eat. This is the 4-pillar program that I created for me, and I now use it with clients. The first thing I ask them is, what is your connection to food? Give me a number between 1 and 10. Do you like to shop? Do you like to cook? What do your meal times look like? Are you rushing when you eat? Are you putting your fork down when you eat? Every one of those questions matter. The action is part of the healing. And the intention is part of the healing. The second pillar is healing through mind. For me, the question was, how often was I exercising and expanding my brain? What was I learning? Every day. Did I connect to that word wonder that I mentioned before? So ask yourself, 33 people, 24 people, millions of people here. Ask yourself, how are you connecting to that word wonder? Are you expanding and exercising your brain every day? The third pillar is healing through body. I did something completely new to me during COVID. I walked. Yep, I walked. I know. We New Yorkers, we walk a lot. But the idea of waking up, turning on a walking app, and maybe not even having my radio or podcast on, walking with real intention, and looking at everything around me. The puppies, the babies, the nature. Yes, we have nature in New York, and I loved every minute of it. But it was really hard. I remember beginning in the pandemic, walking 1 mile and being really tired. It may have something to do with the fact that all the TV I binged at the beginning of the pandemic. Tiger King, anyone? Remember that show? So, what I do for me, and I encourage my clients, is change it up. Every day, change it up. So, I walk. I do Pilates with Kim Jordan, who's here at the open house health fair. I'd love you to meet her. She's teaching today and in October, November, and December. Phenomenal Pilates teacher. I jump rope. I get torched. If you know, you know. If you don't, DM me and I'll tell you what that means. I ruck, which is walking with a plate of weights on your back. I dance every day. Every day. And I do a lot more, but I change it up and I make it fun. You have to make it fun. So the fourth and final pillar is healing through soul. And for that one, it's truly personal. But I define it by what is your truth? And what is the core of what makes you happy? Take a minute with that. Truly, deeply happy. I remember telling people, oh, I meditate all the time. And then I looked in the mirror and said, girl, when were you on the meditation cushion? You haven't meditated in forever. And for people who know me, they know I'm madly in love with my hubby of 23 years. Shout out to Billy. But when was the last time we danced freely in the kitchen in a magical, playful way? It will always come back to the connection and the intention of each one of these pillars that I created. And with that, we become more of who we are meant to be. And that's where the magic is. That's truly where the healing begins and how we reclaim our health. So before we go to Q&A, I have two gifts for you. I'm channeling my inner Oprah. The first one is from JCC, a phenomenal offer, as Abby mentioned earlier. You get a great discount. I'm not going to mention the amount if you register before the 15th. Like, phenomenal. It's a run, don't walk moment. And if you register before the 30th, you get it even better. I mean, you get a great deal. Run, don't walk, register. It's a phenomenal building here with a lot happening. And now I have a gift for all of you, my Oprah moment. If any of what I have talked about here has resonated with you, whether you're a diabetic or you feel overwhelmed, you don't know where to begin. Or even if you're not a diabetic, but you haven't been feeling healthy, you're off your mojo, you don't know where to begin again. It all could be too much. Then I have a gift for you. A phone call. A 30-minute Reclaim Your Health discovery call. A chat. If you're in New York, maybe it'll be live with coffee. It's a chance for you to share what's going on. And together, we will turn on that flashlight and make things happen. So my email is listed in the chat. Abby's putting it in there. I will be here all day. I have a table until 3:30, and then I'll be on a panel at 2:30. I have my book, Healthy Food, Happy Me. I drew a blank. I have a book. I'd love to sign it. I'd love to have a conversation with you, and would love to meet you. So we're going to dive into some Q&A, Abby. So if you have any questions for me, bring them over. And thank you all very much.
That was great. I really enjoyed it. I don't know about anybody else here. And I'll be happy to read the questions that you guys have if you put them into the chat. So far, all I see is thank you. Amazing. Amazing. Really enjoyed it.
I think it's a question from Andrea.
Yes. What is the first step to help someone else? So that this Andrea says her mom is aging and needs support, but won't get help.
Yeah, Andrea, I hear you. No, you probably are not the one to do it for her, and I'd love to have a conversation with her. I think I love your mom. It gets harder as we get older and we're locked into our habit. But I think with the right person, people just want to be heard. And I think if gentle conversations, maybe over a period of time, of how she's feeling, but better yet, how she'd like it to be different. Like I said, those two questions. What is it costing you? You know, you can ask her that. Mom, what is it costing you to feel the way you feel? And then do the imagine exercise with her. Because there's a huge power in really taking time and imagining, that whole manifest, but there's a lot of power because then it allows you to actually imagine that you could make a change. And that's what I would say.
Okay.
Thank you,
Someone
Andrea.
great. Uh, it seems like you rather quickly came into acceptance of your diagnosis. What do you attribute that to?
You're funny. You should have seen me on April 18th, 2018. I thank you for that, Tucker, and that's a beautiful compliment. Um, I think it might have something to do with two things. One, I have had a whole life of being in and out of hospitals and dealing with ENT issues. So I know what it's like to have an issue or condition to take care of. So I had history with it. But I just felt my power and I felt I actually could do something with this because the only thing I knew about diabetes was it did have a connection to food. And I know food. I had a one up. Now, I didn't realize it had a connection to everything else, from stress to sleep to mindfulness, everything. I mean, it's all connected. But I knew the food part. And that's why I began by going into the kitchen and cooking and paying attention to my body. And then when I realized I was making changes, I'm like, wow, I could actually do this. And like I mentioned, I had denial. I thought I was going to change type 1 for the whole world and be on Oprah, but that didn't happen. But yeah, thank you for that. Great question.
Okay.
Due time.
Right. One person did ask what is torched earlier.
Oh, I'll tell you. So during the pandemic, I live in New York and we could not leave the house. And as a diabetic, I was being told every day, if you get it, you'll die. Literally every day. So I worked out in my home with a Broadway choreographer, famous workout teacher named Isaac Boots. And if you need the information, DM me or find me and I'll tell you. Every day at 11 o'clock on Instagram for free, he would give a 45-minute workout. Well, the workout was phenomenal, but the community, he would have up to 1,000 people on the chat and we had a community when we were all alone. We got our body looking great. He's a very funny man. He would talk a lot of tea, and we would have fun, but we would work out hard, and he did it every day during the height of the pandemic. And now from that, I have 100 incredible boot babies that are now part of my life and my friendship, and I have a great body. So, thank you for that question.
So, are there any foods that are always in your kitchen and why? This is from Andrea.
Great question. Well, if you buy my book, I have a 25 ingredients in my book that I have in my kitchen all the time. Um, I can't live without olive oil. I eat a ton of greens. So I have dandelion, kale, Swiss chard. I love arugula. I love herbs. Those are like mandatory. I love vegetables, but not starchy. I do eat cheese. I could not imagine life without it, but I eat goat and sheep because they're much better for the gut. And that's just a short, you know, bit of what I have. But great question.
Right. Uh, any other questions here? Do you drink or
Oh,
is that off the table?
so so non-alcoholic. I drink water, and I make these incredible teas. I make a great hibiscus tea, and I put a ton of mint in it. I do drink. I used to be a cosmopolitan margarita girl. I am not. I don't drink white wine or champagne. All of those things elevate me way too high. I drink red wine and I drink martini, vodka, dirty, extra dirty. But I do it in moderation and I always, keep an eye on my blood sugar. Moderation.
Um, what do you see as this is from Tosca, what do you see as the biggest things your type 1 clients do that aren't serving them when it comes to their diet?
Great question, Tosca. When I was first diagnosed, I called the only person that I knew was diabetic. It's a good friend of mine, and her son was type 1. And he said to me, "Oh, don't worry, you're fine. You can eat whatever you want." And I have a pump. I don't have a pump, but he had a pump. And you eat whatever you want. I eat chocolate, I eat pasta, I eat everything. And you'll be fine. You just have insulin the whole time. For me and for my clients, that is not a practice I believe in. Our bodies, our pancreas, and our bodies are telling us that we can't be the way we were. We have to make shifts. And frankly, the greatest benefit by making the shift now, I was diagnosed at 55, is that is going to carry me through the next 30 years or however long I live and keep me even healthier, keep my blood pressure and all the other things that are going to be reacting in a normal check. It goes back to like treating your body as a temple. My body is a temple. It has carried me for 60 years now, but up until that time, it carried me for 55 years in and out of the hospital, back and forth. It carried me through my wild 20s. And at 55, it really said, hold on, you really got to pay attention. And I think that's the most important thing. I work with pre-diabetic, type 2 and type 1, men, women, and children. But with type 1, I definitely honor that. Like, we really need to honor our body and we have to pay attention. Thank you for that question.
Um, so this is, as you noted, around taking care of a parent contributing to their decline. It's not like we can stop being a carer. So it's not really a question, but I would say when you're a carer, how do you take care of yourself as well?
Yeah. Beautiful, 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 beautiful question. I have a lot of conversations with people about caretaking, and it's such an important conversation to have. At the time that I was taking care of my dad, I obviously he was going in decline, and I was too. So that was a different situation. I think it's really important to take time for you. Caretaking, it's like you check your how many pennies you have in your jar. Make sure you have some for you. Make sure you do self-care every week. Maybe not every day, but every week for you. If it means putting in your calendar, have a bubble bath. If it means putting in your calendar, turn off the phone after 7 o'clock. If it means I want to watch Bravo and not talk to anyone, whatever your self care might be, you really have to do it when you are a caretaker because you are draining yourself. You are giving to them, but you are taking from you. And you can never be of service to anyone if you're depleted. It's an important topic. Thank you. Was that Andrea that asked that?
Hold on just a minute.
Or Megan? Anyway, thank you.
I think it was two people. We
Uh,
had me and Andrea.
yeah, thank you. Such an important conversation. I'm a huge fan of talking about that. So thank you.
Okay. Any other questions here? Oh, I have a new message, but let's see what it is. Okay. Just another person saying caregiver.
Caregiver.
So we have a lot of those on
Yeah, a lot of caregivers.
today.
Yeah, shout out to Kim. If you're here in New York or you're coming to the JCC, Kim Jordan is the table to find. She's right by my table. She'll be teaching today, and she'll be teaching October, November, and December. She can run, don't walk.
We have a new question from Megan. What are the first shifts people newly diagnosed with diabetes need to make?
Great question, Andrea. First question. First thing to do is take a minute and take a breath, and then give yourself a hug, and know that you are going to be okay. You're going to have to do a little homework. You're going to have to do all the 4 tips, get your data, reach out. You're going to have to do some homework. Education will be huge. But that's the first thing you need to know. And I'd love to end with this story. I had a phenomenal client in LA, a young man who reached out to me and he said, I just got type 2 diabetes and I have 2 young children and I'm afraid that I'm going to die and not be able to watch them grow up. And it was before I had launched my business, but I asked him if I could coach him for a month. I was in Spain with my father. And we worked together for a month, and he was phenomenal. He did all the homework. He was just the most beautiful man, and he was perfectly fine. He became strong and healthy. He lowered the medication, but the most important thing that he did is he went to all of his Latino brothers in LA, his church brothers, and he started to get them all to go get tested. He inspired them so much by his transformation with me to change their lives. And that is the greatest gift that I can have as a health coach. If I can coach you and then you can pay it forward by inspiring someone in your community, it doesn't get better than that. So I will always have him in my heart. And all of you.
That's great. I put your information into the chat again in case
Wonderful.
anybody missed it. I will say I have a friend whose husband was recently diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and they did remove his pancreas and gallbladder, and of course now he is diabetic.
Yeah.
And they are both having a pretty rough time. And one of the things my friend said is that he wakes up in the middle of the night worried that his sugar levels are too low, even though he has it on things on alarms and such like that. Is there anything that he can do to? So far, everything has been fine.
First of all, I give my heart to him very much. I know a lot about pancreatic cancer, but I would love you to give him my information, and I will.
I plan on it.
I would be honored to talk to him. There's no doubt about it. In the beginning, I was very, very scared of going low. For people who don't know, going low can be quite dangerous. You can go into diabetic coma. In the 5 years that I've been a diabetic, I have gone low twice. And I now have a code word, banana, because my husband thinks I have diabetes, like I can handle it. But when I say banana, it means all hands on deck and I'm in trouble. I think the most important thing for him is to get, and I'll talk to him, comfortable with your numbers. Like, I know my range. I know that I can't go below 100 because when I go below 100, I go to like 50 very quickly. So, a range of where your body is comfortable. I know when I go running, I have to go run at 170 and then I'll come down to 100. I'm terrible at math. The one condition, and I'm awful at math, you have to kind of work with numbers. I had a notebook. I wrote everything down. All my clients have a notebook. They write everything down. And little by little, you'll get familiar and comfortable with the rhythm of, oh, when I do that, and what I need to do. And, I think, did you say that he's married?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my husband knows the alarms have gone off in our bed. So your partner, it's always great if you have a partner, will know what to do. I also, I live with I don't want to pull it out now, but with the glucose tablets. I live with them. They come in many flavors, but I get them in plain orange, and they're 4 grams of carb per tablet. And if I'm running and if I'm going low, I just take two in my mouth, and then I won't go low and I won't crash while I'm running. I live with them. I have like 5 containers all over the apartment. My husband knows where they are. When I'm at work, they all know where I am, where they are. I mean, that's like without a doubt. Because when I had my first low, I did what a new diabetic would do. I had cookies, I had ice cream, I ate all the things I can't eat. And then I went high, 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 and then you crash. So it's really important that when you go low, every 15 minutes you're monitoring it. It's a little bit of science, but I'd be honored, Abby, to have a talk with him. Is he here in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be honored to meet with him. Honored, truly.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Okay, it is 11:15, so I think that means you are off the hook, and I get a little break, and we move on to Toby. So, and she's here, so I think that's great.
Yep. I want to thank you, Abby, and just remember you can meet me here, and don't forget the offer. All of you 9 million people get a free call. It's the Oprah moment, a free call with me to reclaim your health. Love you all.